Welcome back. It is time for our Set for Life segment. The best part about live TV is if you have a live animal in studio, 9 times out of 10 they're going to crash the interview. So, Nick, it's great to have you back.
Same.
And today we are talking about how to prepare for a recession and how you can also benefit from it.
Yeah. So I think that's been on a lot of people's minds lately, the recession, the R word, right? And the thing that we tie that to is 2008, which was a catastrophe. And I think the important thing to know is first that not all recessions are going to be like that one. That's a pretty extreme example. But the first thing that you want to know as an investor is that risk is part of the equation. And so you want to know how much risk is actually in your portfolio. There are ways to measure that, get a sense of that, and make sure that you're okay with those trade-offs.
Yeah.
And then the other thing to know is that it's an inevitable part of investing. This is not a bug as much as it is just a feature of it. Stocks will go down because everything is cyclical. But unfortunately, you can't set your watch to it, right? We can't say, okay, well, it's going to happen next month, and so we're going to go to cash or make an extreme move with our portfolio. So rather than doing that, we just, again, we go back to the trade-offs. And we say, okay, well, if this were to happen, would I be okay mentally and financially?
Yeah.
And that's the strategy that you take. I think the best way to prepare for it is to be diversified. Of course, it goes back to those principles of being diversified, sticking to your plan with the long term, but making sure that you have a plan that you can actually stick with.
Yeah.
And then maybe having some cash on hand and a little bit of extra cash if you can. So in that type of situation, you've got enough cash to cover your living expenses and maybe even benefit from it, like you said. That's where the real money is made, is in those extreme downturns. So if you can have some extra cash on hand, not only will you feel okay and feel better about what's happening, but you'll be empowered by it. You'll be able to take advantage of that. And that'll set you up well for the future.
Now, when should you kind of prepare? Is there should you always have a plan in place, or should you start looking at that when something in the economy is kind of pointing that way?
That's a good question. You want to go with option A.
Okay.
Always be prepared. You know, what do they say? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready?
Yeah.
Okay, always be prepared for that to happen. Don't try to anticipate when it's going to happen and make a change then. More money is lost in the form of opportunity cost by trying to prepare for it in real time than if you would have just been prepared ahead of time.
And I know we're almost out of time, but let's talk about that second portion on how you can benefit from it.
Yeah. It's first making sure that you have a plan that you can stick with. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So it's what can I do consistently over the longest period of time possible. When it comes to investing or endurance sports, it doesn't matter how fast you go. It matters, the person that wins is the person that slows down the least. So we have that plan that we can stick with. We have extra cash on hand, and we know that we're well diversified, and we weren't greedy at any one point in time. So I think the Goldilocks piece is, if you feel like you're leaving a little bit of money on the table, that's probably a good sign that you're doing it right, and that's going to come to pay off in the future during those periods that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm glad we tackled this today. And if our friends at home have any questions for you, how can they contact you?
Yeah, best way is Ritholtzwealth.com.
Perfect.
Or Google this, Nick Sapienza in the background.
Perfect. Nick, as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you guys at home want to watch more of these Set for Life segments, you can just type in kadn.com, Set for Life, and everything will pop up. Let's check in, though, with Adam Olivier.